The 6th round of the IMSA Camel GT Series is this weekend, the Camel Grand Prix of the Heartland in Topeka, Kansas. And to bring us up to date on what's happening there, here's Derek Daly.
Bob, the main topic of conversation here this weekend is the impressive performance last weekend of the new Jaguar XJR 16 at the Nissan Grand Prix of Road Atlanta. Qualifying was rained out, so the field was lined up according to practice times, which put Jones's new Bud Light Castrol Jag on the pole. Before the end of the second lap, he had the lead, and when the 300-kilometer event was over, the XJR 16, referred to now as the F16, had lapped all but second-place Chip Robinson. The new Nissan 4-valve engine did have problems. There were 3 blown throughout the course of the weekend. Series point leader Jeff Brabham didn't have a very good day either, spinning off in turn 3 early in the race and later retiring with fuel pressure problems. Jones's winning average of almost 121 miles an hour resulted in the fastest 300K race in IMSA history, and it gave Jaguar its 3rd win in 5 events, moving Jones to 3rd in the point standings.
I need every point I can get to just close in on Jeff Brabham, and you know, I think for the Bud Light Jaguar team, this is our year, and you know, the whole team is working very well, and I just hope that we can keep the momentum going throughout 1991.
In the Camel Lights division, another dominant performance by Parker Johnstone's Acura. Next year, they'll start developing an all-new GTP car. Other news here this weekend, Bob, the Intrepid Chevrolet is extremely fast. Also, there's a super new GTP car here. It's a Gephardt built in Germany for the Moretti Momo team, powered by a 5-cylinder Audi engine. We look forward to seeing that race later on. Heartland Park, they've lowered the ticket prices and doubled the ad budget. They're looking for a very good weekend here. For Speedweek, I'm Derek Daly.
While the IMSA Camel GT Series is more than a third of the way through its season, the oldest continually running road racing series in North America, the SCCA Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour, opens this weekend. And Bob Kelly reports from Sears Point International Raceway.
It's race number 1 on the new Tide Trans Am Tour. The liquid laundry detergent company hopes to do for these cars what Winston did for NASCAR.
Oh, absolutely. That's our goal. We would like to emulate a lot of the things that Winston does with NASCAR. The things that they do are just fantastic for that form of racing. And I'd like to try to do a lot of the same kind of things with Tide.
There's a new sponsor and new faces too. Olympic champion skiers Phil and Steve Mayer have moved up from Sports 2000 to the Trans Am cars.
The biggest thing, there's a lot more horsepower. The cars weigh a lot more. The speeds are, say, a little quicker down the straight, so the brake points change. In the turns, you know, they're a little bit heavier. You don't feel near as quick. I mean, I don't think you're as fast in the turns in these as you are in the little cars, but it's a lot of fun. It's a new step, you know. It's like, say, where we wanted to go, sedan racing.
And Olds could very well win this race at Sears Point. The so-called super team of Irv Hare, Darren Brassfield, and Paul Gentilozzi represents years of Trans Am success.
Well, Darren and I have raced together 2 years, and we've become real close friends. Irv and I have been friends right from the start. I introduced him to Oldsmobile. It's his first race. We'll see how it goes. We're all competitive people, but right now I feel that we've got 3 of the best drivers here in the series.
A series championship has eluded Trans Am veteran Les Lindley. He's going all out to win the title in '91.
Physically, I've been running 12 miles a day every day to get myself in physical condition. The guy's been working hard. We worked hard on the chassis, worked hard on the motor program with the motor builder, and it's a total effort. We're trying to go after the championship this year.
That championship chase starts tomorrow. From Sears Point International Raceway, this is Bob Kelly reporting for Speedweek.
Although last Sunday's Grand Prix of San Marino was the 3rd Formula One race of the year, it was the first in Europe and the first for several new cars. Each was trying to stop Ayrton Senna's McLaren, winner of the first 2 events. It was the same old story as far as qualifying, as Senna won his 3rd pole of the year and 7 straight here at this track. And his challengers must have also been disappointed when heavy rain began falling on race morning. Senna is practically unbeatable in the wet. On the reconnaissance lap, as the diagram of the track was being shown, one of Senna's main stalwarts, Alain Prost in a Ferrari, slid off course. Right behind him, Senna's teammate Gerhard Berger also went into the grass, but he didn't hit anything and continued. Because Prost stopped, his race was over. You don't see it very often, but Senna got beat off the line when the light turned green. Defending race champion Riccardo Patrese in a Williams Renault got the jump on Ayrton. And he led the first 9 laps, then the Rainmeister took command as Patrese brought his car in to change to dry tires. But the engine died. He later retired from competition. Neither the old cars nor the new ones would stop Senna, although a flickering oil light caused him to slow in the closing laps and allow his teammate Berger to close to within a second and a half at the finish. The new Benetton Ford, driven by Roberto Moreno, was as high as 3rd until pulling off course with 7 laps to go. The high attrition rate allowed several drivers to score their first ever Formula One points. Joining Senna on the podium was Keke Rosberg's protege, Jyrki Järvi Leito, otherwise known as JJ, who finished 3rd. Senna has scored the maximum points possible in the first 3 races and may be on his way to his easiest championship yet. His tally of 30 is triple that of Berger. Prost has 9, Patrese and Nelson Piquet each has 6. Residents of Clearwater, Florida will soon have a new neighbor. Nigel Mansell has bought a $5 million mansion called Century Oaks and will be moving his base of operation there soon. Next, will there be a new face on the front row at Indy? And Rick Mears reveals why he's been so successful at the Brickyard. Some of the issues being talked about as the month of May begins at Indy. A.J. Foyt, the 4-time winner, says this will be his 34th and final 500, but will his injured feet and legs allow him to compete? Will Al Unser, the only other 4-time winner, find a ride, and might it be with Foyt? Well, despite the impressive-sounding 88 entries, there are only about 40 driver-car combinations with a legitimate shot at making the 33-car field. And Chris McClure says the type of power plant you have could determine how well you do at Indy.
The favorite's role at Indianapolis centers around the Chevrolet engine. Whether married to the Lola or Penske chassis, it's proven time and time again that it is the fastest and most reliable out there. Couple that with the fact that Chevy powers the most experienced and well-financed teams, and they have a broader base this year, and it is a formidable task that all the others face in trying to overtake. Some of them might not have much chance. The hoped-for major leap forward by both Cosworth and Judd for the new campaign has yet to prove out. They've had some interesting, somewhat promising runs in the season's first 3 races, but nothing that would suggest they will supplant Chevy during May. The Alfa Romeo team, now with Danny Sullivan, has raised a few eyebrows in the early going with a nice points finish in Australia and the fastest race lap of anyone at Phoenix. But those are very thin threads of evidence to base any kind of breakthrough hope on. Alfa is still a ways off. Buick, however, might be ready to have a big month. With more boost than the others at Indy, the V6 is always fast there. And now they're more reliable, certainly a good deal more than in 1985 when Pancho Carter sat on pole with Buick. Add to that the fact that the engine this year is coupled to a Lola chassis designed for it, and the fact that the fastest test time of the winter, 224.2, was turned in by Jim Crawford in that combination. And you have ample evidence to suggest they might do it this time, both on pole day and again on race day. Bob?
Okay, Chris. While a Buick could very well be on the pole or certainly on the front row, you can't count out the Penske-Chevy Indy V8 combination driven by Rick Mears. After all, he's been on the pole and front row more than any other driver, and he'll be going for his 4th win. So why is Rick Mears so successful at Indy? Well, here's Bob Barsha with part 2 of our series with Rick.
Thanks, Bob. Last week we had some fun with Rick and Chris Mears here at their wintertime home base in Jupiter, Florida. But this week we'd like to turn the conversation to more serious subjects and talk racing with a man known as the IndyCar Ovalmeister.
I've always just tried to treat it as another race and another track, and that's the outlook I've always had on it going into it, to try to, main reason just so you don't let the pressures get to you. That's my way of avoiding them. But I think mainly that track, for some reason, has always suited my natural style of driving. And a Speedway has always just, I've always worked on being smooth, and being precise, and being in the right place, and no mistakes. And so that kind of suits my style. And I think that's one reason we've always been very fortunate there. And also, the very main reason is because I've always had good equipment.
Mears and car owner Roger Penske have a unique relationship, one that has lasted over 14 years, uncommon in this sport.
We've been close, very close since day one. And You know, I've had people say, well, isn't he tough to work for? And he can be in certain cases. He can be tough to work for. But normally that's only if you aren't working. You know, to this day, I can't really ever recall Roger walking up to me and saying, I think you ought to do so-and-so. He's always left it up to me, you know, to work at my pace, the way I do it. And he's always been very understanding. And I think, you know, from my end, driving cars, another big plus is the fact that he drove himself.
He's legendary for his organization and his energy, but now that he's in stock cars, do you see any threat of negative effects due to distraction or overextension?
No, absolutely not. I think, you know, the stock car team and, you know, and we've, now with the Marlboro team being 2 cars, you know, instead of having 3, that's going to help in that respect. But I've seen that man juggle so many things for so many years and never really take away from anything. And I know how he operates, and there won't be anything slacking off because of it.
Known as the driver of the decade in the 80s, I asked Rick what form of racing he's always wanted to try.
The only thing that I have ever really thought about, and I wouldn't do it, but it'd be fun, I feel that I've missed, is sprint cars and midgets. I mean, I really feel I've missed that because I know my brother's done it, and I've talked to him about it a lot. I hot lapped one of Bruce Walkup's old cars at Ascot one night. And you can tell it's just what a driver likes to do. You stand on a gas and go sideways.
Speeds this year at Indianapolis are once again expected to increase, and the 5-time pole sitter has some definite thoughts about where he's headed.
I don't think we need to go any faster. You know, I think the 200, you know, mark is really the magic number, and I think we need to stay over 200. But I don't think we need 230 or 240, not unless we do it first.
Most of the historic video seen on Speedweek is courtesy of Dick Wallen's Racing Classics.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Anybody thought about dynamite?
Ever wonder what I do when I'm not racing? I'm at Western Auto, kind of checking things out, and you should too. Hey guys.
Hi, Daryl.
Because now you can enter our exciting We Win, You Win $1 Million Racing Sweepstakes. There's monthly drawings for Chevy Luminas, race trips, plus if I win the championship, one of you will win $1 million.
And while you're at Western Auto, pick up AC spark plugs for just 59 cents each after rebate. AC spark plugs. It's like buying time.
You think he's got a chance?
The World of Outlaws were in Knoxville, Iowa last weekend, where the Sprint Car Hall of Fame is being built just beyond the backstretch. Heavy rain forced a postponement of the preliminary feature Friday night. 24 hours later, at the start of the 20-lapper, trouble in the middle of the pack. That's Keith Kaufman bicycling, hitting the wall, flipping, and then being hit by Kenny Hansen. Keith will be out of action for a few weeks while leg cuts and a broken ankle heal. Doug Wolfgang went on to win that race. The A-Main featured a classic duel between Steve Kinzer on the high side and Dave Blaney in the low groove. Steve ended a month-long winless streak in capturing his 276th Outlaw A feature. Wednesday night, the traveling sprinters were in Kinzer's hometown of Bloomington, Indiana for a makeup of an earlier rainout. Things didn't go too well for him. At the start of the heat, Steve's car faltered, and that created a log jam behind him. Everyone was okay. Steve made repairs and later won the B-Main. After starting 7th in the A feature, Kinzer caught leader Sammy Swindell in traffic, used the slower car of Jack Hewitt, and wheelied past Sammy to make it 2 consecutive victories. The American Speed Association also made up a rain-postponed event at Columbus, Ohio Motor Speedway, its first race of the year. A 4-car pileup on the 64th lap sent pole sitter and early leader Glenn Allen Jr. in number 66 to the infield grass, allowing last year's winner Gary St. Amant to grab the lead. But Allen worked his way through traffic and with 19 circuits remaining passed Tony Raines in number 25, giving the 20-year-old his first ASA victory. Raines was later disqualified when his engine was found to be not in compliance with the 9-to-1 ratio rule. Last Saturday night's Busch Grand National race at Lanier Raceway in Georgia was delayed nearly 4 hours by rain, and it saw another driver score his first major win. David Green became the first rookie driver to win in the series since Bobby Hamilton in September of 1989. 19-year-old rookie Jeff Gordon started 3rd, never ran lower than 5th, and wound up 2nd. Another rookie, Mike Wallace, the older brother of series points leader Kenny, finished 3rd. The DIRT Modifieds ran on the pavement at Roger Penske's Pennsylvania International Raceway. 3rd starting Billy Pouch in number 15 paced the early laps before suffering a vibration and dropping out. That put Jimmy Horton in the lead, but his day ended against the inside backstretch wall after an encounter with slower traffic. Brett Hearn held off Billy Decker to take his 2nd win in a row at Nazareth.